Welcome to the Amy McManus Show on AM 1480 WLEA. We have a very special show today. I'm going to spend some time talking with a woman about something that's very near and dear to my heart. I do want to give you some background on why we're talking about this issue. Back in the 80s, President Ronald Reagan asked C. Everett Koop to perform a study about the psychological effects, presumably the psychological damage that could occur to women after an abortion. And those of us who were active in the pro-life movement were profoundly disappointed when the Surgeon General came back and said that he had found no evidence that abortion was causing any psychological or physical harm to women. And a lot of scientists and researchers were not willing to delve into that issue because of his proclamation. And plus, they would be labeled with the usual names such as a right-winger or an anti-abortion extremist, or would be accused of being driven by a political agenda, even if they were consistent. However, since then, researchers such as David Reardon of America and Finland's National Research and Development Center for Welfare and Health, the STAKES studies, it's becoming more apparent that the Surgeon General was wrong. Not because his research was flawed per se, but because he didn't exactly ask the right questions at the right time. And what people like Reardon have done is not just ask women immediately after their abortion, oh, how do you feel? Because the immediate emotion of a woman who chooses abortion is, of course, going to be relief. Instead, what Reardon has done and what the researchers in Finland have done is follow these women over a course of several years and asking them a whole range of questions. And the answers to the questions were also in ranges. They are not yes or no answers to these questions. And when I read his research and you read about depression and suicidal tendencies and alcoholism and cervical cancers and breast cancer increases among dozens of other serious health effects, depression being the main one. I oftentimes find myself, if I'm out in public or looking around or going to a mall and looking around at the women around me, 1 in 10 women in America has had an abortion. And, I often look around at your own family, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, and I think, my gosh, 1 in 10 women is walking around with this hidden pain inside of them. And today I'm going to talk to one of those women who struggled with that. And her name is Patty Gambino. Thanks for being with me, Patty.
You're welcome, Amy. Thank you.
Can you tell me, let's just start right from the beginning, how old you were and the circumstances surrounding your pregnancy?
Sure. I was 18 years old, just left home to go to college. I'm the oldest of 6. And like you said, in the 80s, everything was more free. The time was more free. I guess I was a little more rebellious also. Involved in a relationship with a guy. Became pregnant, and I can remember telling him the circumstances I'm pregnant, and his first response was, well, what are you going to do about it? And at that point, it was all up to me. I had to figure out what I was going to do with the problem at hand. So I was very much alone at that point. As I said, I'm the oldest of 6. So my mother, I'm from a divorced family. My mother had her hands full, raising my 5 brothers and sisters. So that really put the burden on me. And at that point, maybe I wasn't aware of crisis pregnancy centers. The only option was Planned Parenthood, and that's exactly where I went. And their only option was abortion. And without having any support, or maybe not seeking, the support of my family with everything they were going through, I believe that was the option that I needed to take. Looking back, I know it was not the right option, but it was the one that I saw at the time. A difficult one now to deal with. It was like a self-inflicted wound that, God has healed me from, but I still have the scar of that wound.
If you think, I read recently in one of Reardon's studies that something like 60% of women said that if there was just one person that had sat down with them and said, I'm here to support you if you choose life, please, what do you need? I'll be there for you. That 60% of those women said that they would have changed their mind. Do you think that's probably the case?
Yes, I absolutely agree. If you knew there, and I'm sorry, sometimes I do get very emotional still. If one person that would say I would walk through that with you, you would have done it. Yes, I would say that's very true.
Was there anyone in your life at that time that knew you were pregnant and even hinted to you that maybe abortion wasn't a good option?
It's funny, I was thinking of that as you would ask me if I would be willing to share my story. The only one that I can remember is a girlfriend from college, and she actually drove me to the appointment. And at that point, they always would give you something, I'm assuming, to relax you. And she said to me, you don't have to do this. We can leave here. You don't have to do this. But I think by that time I was so numb to the decision that I just decided I've made this decision. I'm going. We were sitting in the doctor's office. Now looking back, I think she was trying to save my baby at that point. And yes, if someone would have said that to me when I found out, I would have changed my mind now.
Why do you think women close themselves off emotionally? I mean, obviously there's hormones at play, and I heard a speaker once who likened women who choose abortion as a trapped animal chewing its own leg off to get out of a trap. That emotional pain is so overwhelming that that's all they can think of is to eliminate that psychological pain. Do you think, like in your case, that these emotional walls all of a sudden come up when you make the abortion decision?
Yes, absolutely. At that point in my life, I had what problem, and I was all alone to make that decision. And so you make the decision, and then what happens is, and I didn't realize it till months after my abortion, shame. Shame sets in, and what shame tends to do in our lives is it causes us to pull back from everyone and to separate ourselves, because if people truly knew us, and this is how I felt, if someone truly knew what I had done, I would be shunned, I would be thought of as a murderer, all